The Master Phil in Your Corner podcast is brought to you by philross.com, the home site of Master Phil Industries, books, presentations, virtual training, supplements, and products, including the Back Better Bar, strengthen your back and bulletproof your shoulders. The Body Bell Method, the world's only kettlebell, bodyweight, and dynamic tension system, providing continuing education credits for trainers, coaches, doctors of physical therapy, and chiropractors. Be sure to check out our new app, Master Phil Kettlebells, on the App Store. Thank you for your patronage. Greetings and welcome to another episode of Master Phil in Your Corner. This is episode number 147. This one is dedicated to marketing scams. And I have a couple of great marketers here on the podcast with us today, and we'll let them introduce themselves. I've been doing some work with these guys for, I don't know, 8 months, 9 months, something like that. And we're getting some great traction, getting some excellent results, and just looking at continuing to move forward. So let me go. Mike, you're center stage right now. Just give a little introduction about yourself and what you do.
So I ventured into marketing through Joe. I started, this marketing journey just making dopey wrestling videos to help promote my club, right? Like, so like I had a couple different wrestling clubs in the state of New Jersey back in 2008, 9, 10, and they were doing all right. But I thought a good way to market them was to create like technique videos. And so I started breaking down film with my athletes, and they were like, well, why don't you just do that for everyone? And so that's kind of where my marketing journey started. And then I got a job with Flow Wrestling and Joe was there at the time. And, one of the things that Joe is really, really, really good at is not just zooming out for himself, but Joe is incredible at letting you see what he sees. And so his ability to take the 30,000-foot view of things and then hone in on like the minutia and the daily application of that is pretty remarkable. And so Joe's kind of helped me, yes, look big picture, but also how that applies to my everyday and how we can kind of apply marketing to every aspect of media, every aspect of business, apply it to different things like that.
Hey, Mike, what is the name of your business?
So MikeMalMedia does pretty much soup to nuts everything at this point. And again, I can't say it enough, but that's thanks to Joe. My brain always went to content, and he's like, Mike, there's no money in content. I'm like, you're right about that, because here I was struggling, early on in my career, because I wanted to just create content. I thought that was the way to do it, or that was the best way to market. And Joe quickly said to me, like, okay, content's adorable and all, but you should be thinking along these lines and these lines, and there's far more bang for your buck being made in, especially now, right? Like AI can generate video that's just as good, if not better than some of the stuff that I've created. So yeah, there's no money in content, but there is money in the aggregation of content and the searching capabilities that people have, and that kind of stuff. But yeah, so MikeMalMedia is kind of soup to nuts, my own little island here that sometimes joins islands with Joe.
All right. Awesome. Thank you. We got to bring the man on now. Joe Kania. Come on in, Joe.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Mike and I kind of had similar paths. So I worked in marketing. New York Giants, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I helped Spartan Race launch a new vertical under their family of brands. I worked with an app that got a deal on Shark Tank. a couple of public companies. I'm dressed kind of like a hobo, but I've had some cool stops. Really, everything. I mean, the first job I ever had was a reporter with a newspaper back in New Jersey. So everything ultimately, we'll talk about people like what's good and what's bad that they do. Everything is storytelling, period. Like if you can't, content is storytelling. Your ads are storytelling. Everything is storytelling. If you don't have storytelling behind what you're doing, it's like a hollow shell. Even like the AI and this and that, it's like empty. It's hollow. Someone sees a message, how do I feel? Right? It's not what is it? How do I feel? What problem do I have? How does this address my problem? So as I kind of went through my career, I mean, when I worked at the Giants, one, I was a Giants fan forever. That was a dream come true. They could have told me to stand on my head all day, and I would have been like, absolutely. The Giants never had to sell tickets. I got there, they were a year removed from winning a Super Bowl. They don't have a ticket sales department at the Giants. So I went from Star Ledger, which was strictly storytelling. It's a fun story. This was like, I don't know, 2011, 2010. Knew nothing about journalism at all. I was just a wrestling guy. And I showed up. I don't know how newsrooms work. And this isn't like, the age now where it's like find their LinkedIn, send them you can't get the Star Ledger phone number and like get them on the phone. So I just showed up in a suit looking like a clown and was like, who handles wrestling? The high school sports section of the Star Ledger was subcontracted by a company that handled high school sports and obituaries. So I walk in, I walk into this old school office, like office stuff from the 80s, and there are the, ladies
Wait, what's
writing
wrong with the 80s,
obituaries.
Joe?
I'm just saying, you guys are old. I never even saw the 80s. But dusty or this is like the end of the newspaper era. I showed up in a suit, looked like a clown, and was like, listen, I want to work with you guys. I had a little wrestling blog, and what do you I'll always remember the first newspaper story I ever wrote. The editor was sitting there. He looked like he was going to pull his hair out. Like I had no idea what I was doing, but I knew wrestling. So as I knew wrestling, newspapers dying, I was cheap labor. They kind of taught me a little bit. So I really knew the context. Then I had to get into, all right, how am I communicating this in print, but mostly digitally as it was turning? Then I get to the Giants where it's that, but on steroids. We don't need to sell anything. It's still storytelling. But I mean, I was running their social media before that was a job. I was helping them with the website and the radio shows and stuff. But that's just like content for brand. Then I get to the Buccaneers. They have a boiler room, Wall Street style cockpit of it's almost like a warehouse, the biggest room I've ever seen with these tiny little desks, people cold calling all day. They need to sell tickets. So this was kind of a perfect path for me in that it was straight storytelling, then it was storytelling to brand, and then it was 50-50 storytelling and performance marketing. We had to sell tickets. And then when I got to Flow with Mike, it was
Joe,
like,
let's go back to Tampa Bay for a second. Were you there during the Tom Brady years or no? Oh.
nope.
That would have been a
I
pretty
was
easy
there.
sale, huh?
I got there 1 or 2 weeks before they were about to finish dead last in the league.
Oh, jeez.
I remember I watched the game and their quarterback was Josh McCown that year. And I watched the game and he was crying at the podium after the game.
Wow.
They were terrible. So we went into that season. We had the number one overall pick. We drafted Jameis Winston. But that was a cool. You see it kind of with the Giants now. They've been struggling. It's like when you're the worst team in the league in the off season, you're like the star because it's like, who are you going to draft? Who's you have the number one pick. We knew internally we were drafting Jameis 3 months ahead of time. So we also needed to, I hope nobody from the Bucks watches this. I don't know if I should be saying some of this, but we needed to almost create a smoke. It was between Jameis and Marcus Mariota. So
Yes.
we almost needed to create like a quasi smoke screen from how we were marketing. I don't know if other front offices pay attention to that, but like you can't come out and say we're drafting Jameis number one. You got to kind of make it seem like we're in between these two guys. Who might we pick that has some trade value? The GM at the Buccaneers is a wrestling guy, and he's a great dude. And he kept us very in the loop. So we go in there. It's like, all right, we were terrible last season. We have the number one pick. We're the belle of the ball in the off season. We're renovating the stadium. There's a bunch of stuff happening. It's like, all right, now we need to sell mostly season tickets and some suites, premium type tickets. So to me, I had no experience in digital as a sales channel. It was just digital storytelling. And we were like, all right, well, and looking back at it now, our tech infrastructure and our tracking was almost non-existent. But
You're just throwing stuff against the wall, huh?
yeah, we were, this was a really old tool, but it was called Chartbeat. And this will
I
kind
remember
of,
that one.
yep, this will kind of parlay me into some other stuff that we did at Flow. Chartbeat would show you in real time how far people would scroll down a page. It was like a plugin.
Mm.
And I'll always remember, I was like, man, 80% of people never scroll past that first frame. So we're sitting there and we're trying to communicate. Social at this time is still like Throwback Thursday, like posting once or twice a week. And I'm sitting there, we're trying to sell tickets. I mean, we had number one, I had the trophy sitting over there in the NFL and digital engagement just from following the metrics. But how do we sell tickets? We don't have conversion events. We don't know how many tickets we're really selling. A lot of like season ticket sales or like lead gen, they go into the boiler room, you don't know what happens to them. But I always remembered, I was like, man, we're putting all of this effort into web content, but 80% of people aren't even scrolling past the page. We're writing these huge, sick articles or putting so much effort into it. I don't want to hog the entire podcast, but I'll
No,
take
do
you
it,
for a
dude.
little bit
This
of
is
a
interesting
ride.
to me. No, this is interesting to me too.
So they have a very strict hierarchy in the NFL. You're an intern and then you're a coordinator. I got my gig at the Giants. Bless the Giants. I cold emailed the VP of media as like a 20-year-old kid and was like, please, dude, anything. I'll mop the floor. It was eccentric. Like, I'm surprised. If you do that now, they're probably like, this guy's a psycho. But so I'm an intern the first year at the Giants. I begged them to come back for a second year. I'm kind of backtracking. We'll move forward. And the Star Ledger, my first year at the Giants, I worked at the Giants from 9 to 5, and I worked at the Star Ledger from 5 to midnight. I was living on my own. I was living in the hood. I had to pay my own rent, and I had to work. I've got the paycheck still in the chest. They pay me $10 an hour. I want to go hang it up in my office. But so I had to work both jobs that first year. Second year, the newspaper folds, and Star Ledger and they reestablish as a digital company. That subcontracted company no longer exists. I could get away with it because I didn't really work for the paper that covered the Giants. I worked for a subcontractor. Second year, they're like, this is a conflict of interest. Man, it was a good job. I was making like 65 grand that was a pretty good gig, 50 something. I could pay my bills. But they said going into that second year, it's a conflict of interest. You can't work on staff for the Giants and work for NJ.com. They cover the Giants. So I kind of dragged the Star Ledger out a little bit. And the Giants were like, all right, again, I have to pay my bills. The Giants were like, how about you just show up on the first day and we'll tell Mr. Mara, like, oh, he's here. What are we going to do? I was like, all right. So I quit my job at the Star Ledger. I went back there and they're paying me $10 an hour. I got enough money to get me through the season. I'm broke as a joke. I'm like 300 and something pounds wearing Walmart clothes. And fortunately, in week, I don't know, 14, they were like, hey, do you want to go interview? The Giants knew they couldn't keep me. They wanted to. The people who I worked with at the Giants almost 15 years ago are all still there. Like they don't leave. So no jobs opened up. Like they really shouldn't have brought me back for a second year. Say, all right, a guy who used to work here is head of digital in Tampa. I'd go interview with him. He's from New York. He was a great dude. Mike knows him. We worked together a little bit. Eureka. I get job at Buccaneers. Pays me 37 grand a year plus overtime. I get in my $500 Toyota and I say, just get me there. I pack all my stuff in the back of the car. I'm like, just get me down to Florida. Take 95 all the way down.
Yeah.
So we go through and I'm in Tampa and I'm learning. This is how we sell tickets. I'm like a real boy. I'm not like the grunt doing whatever.
Yeah.
I'm there for 3 seasons. We have a lot of success because a lot of people don't have that storytelling, right? They're digital, specific, technical. There was like you were a writer or you were like a CMS jockey, right? You were either a tech guy or you were a media guy. Had a little bit of both. So I go into my 3rd season. The guy who hired me was a director. He left. The manager who was above me left. I'm a lowly coordinator. And I was like, okay, I'm due for a promotion here. I've been here 3 years, standard. I got 5 years in the league. I want to be a manager. The Bucks had rotating CMOs. They're on their 3rd CMO in 2 years. And I asked this guy, I'm like, I'd like a promotion, making 37 grand a year plus an insane amount of overtime. I'm making 45 grand. He's like, all right, we're going to have a org meeting. We're going to discuss the org chart. Okay, cool. We go into the auditorium where all the players meet. He comes out with this tiny little headset running on the stage like Steve Jobs. He's like pointing at people and this. I was like, okay. And we sit there for an hour and eventually he's like, the org chart is there is no org chart. We'll talk about it at the end of the season. So at this point, I walk out on maybe it says something about me, but I walk out of that meeting right back onto the practice field, and I call my buddy who worked at Flow Sports, Flow Wrestling, who I'd known for a long time. I was like, you guys still hiring? Like, what do you think about?
Yeah.
Wow.
So we get there and we could talk. We got a bunch of stuff to talk about, but first thing I took when I left Tampa and got to Flow was that chart beat takeaway of, we're primarily communicating our marketing messages through web-based content. And I can see the data. 2,000 people see a Facebook post, 200 people click, 80% don't scroll past the fold. It doesn't work. We're not getting messages out.
Yeah.
People aren't consuming what we're trying to tell them.
Yeah. Yeah. People just want to get the stuff very, very quickly. So now we have a good background for everyone that's listening and watching. So I just want to bring up some of these things. Marketing scams. Now, there's a lot of, let's say, unscrupulous people marketeers or supposed marketeers and publicists and so forth on the internet, and a lot of them just put forth advertising and make promises that they just don't keep. I'm going to bring up this first one, and it's called my exercise snacks book. Now, this one, I wanted, I came up with this great concept. I believe it was a great concept in 2020 during COVID, when I was working at my desk, and a lot of other people were getting, let's say, a little overweight and rambunctious and couldn't really do too much, and they were on their computers all day. So I started doing was posting these little workouts, and people at the college were enjoying it very much. So I started writing them down, and was very well received. So what I did was, the whole premise was, hey, every hour or so, get up and do 5 minutes of exercise. So I wound up putting together 55 different workouts that you could do in a 6x6 area with little to no equipment. And I said, I really want to get this out here. I'm going to look around for a publicist. And, I found this publicist, and, she promised me all kinds of stuff. Her name is Adrienne Greenwood. I think she was a lot less experienced than she portrayed. And she said that she knew my market, showed me this jujitsu guy she had worked with, so forth and so on. And then I was, going by her recommendations. I was actually rebranding the Survival Strong book, updating it. I originally released it in 2016. I wanted to re-release it in 2024. And unfortunately, she destroyed a relationship that I had with Atmosphere Press, because she says, no, she talked me into going with Ingram Sparks, which they're okay, but they just reprint the book. They're very, very difficult to speak with, very difficult to get anyone on the phone. But they you just upload your books and so forth. But one of the things that she did, she was really good at taking my money. And really not delivering. I'll give you one example of what happened with the Exercise Snacks book. There was a mistake in one line on the back of the book. So my feedback was, okay, here, change this. Everything else below this is fine. You're not going to believe what I got back. The back cover had the stuff I had, and said everything below this line God. I'm like, I said to her, I go, did you even read this? Did you even look at this before you sent it over to me? I mean, my head was going to explode. So, needless to say, they never got that book out, which she was paid to get it out. Never got that book out. The term of the agreement, the time span went up. She ghosted me. Never heard back from her. Okay. So then I'm scrambling around, and I try to get another publisher, and I'm like, okay, I find one, WP Lighthouse. I recognize the name, but evidently they must have stolen the name or purchased the company or something, because these guys were clowns. Promised me everything, and they were okay at first. And then, so I signed up with them in October 2024, got the book out in November. And then after December, I never heard from them again. December 2025, never heard from them again. So now I'm looking around for another one. But at this point, I'm pretty good at sniffing out garbage. So I went with a company, Franklin Publishing, another garbage organization. Total scam. What I did was I drilled down. I saw all of their supposed recommendations and positive reviews. They were all scams. So that was all. It was all smoke and mirrors, all fake. And I called the guy out. And, oh my God, he was not happy, and sent me this email. And I didn't even reply. It was just so ridiculous and off base. And actually the guy was going under two different names.
Oh, that's always
good. Yeah, it was an interesting take. two different names. But thank God I never went with that one. And the thing is that what I did was I said, look, I published a book with Wiley Publications. Those are the books for dummies people. So I asked them, I go, look, what do we have here? I mean, who would you recommend? So, they're very reputable, and they gave me to Skyhorse, and Skyhorse has been pretty good. Skyhorse Publications. They got out my exercise snacks book, but the thing I'm having a terrible time with is having Amazon pull the old one down off of Amazon. The orders go to nowhere. The WP Lighthouse is shut, and it's going to take a while. Goodbye. It's going to take a while for them to, I guess, get to it. But I've been trying to get it pulled off, and it's extremely difficult to get through to Amazon to pull that off. So just trying
I'm
to
gonna give you the mechanics of how that happens.
Yeah.
Almost any project I ever need help with, things
Mhm.
that I'm getting overwhelmed, I go only to Mike. The reason why I go only to Mike is because, one, I trust him, and two, if Mike doesn't know how to do something, he can figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
When you deal with, I've worked with people and they were like, Joe, you only have so much time. Like, you need to hire more people. How do you scale yourself? So when you work with some big companies like that, what happens is you talk to the sales guy. The sales guy sends it to a project manager. The project manager sends it offshore or to an intern or to someone.
Yep.
So then not only do you end up paying a premium price to get work done, the big driver is the loss in communication.
Yes.
You talk to the sales guy, pour your heart out. He sends it to it. By the time it gets to the person doing the work, they have no idea what's going on.
Right.
And you see that people say, oh, AI is going to take everybody's job. AI helps. Like Mike and I build websites cheaper and faster for anyone because we can use AI doing it. But you still need that layer of communication reduced.
Yes.
And the same thing,
hold, can I
sorry.
pause you? I just want to ask you, and this is something like as Phil was kind of talking about that what failed in publishing of the book. The thing that like I keep on going back to, and this is the question, right?
Mhm.
How do you, in your journey through this marketing world, how do you go about vetting the scams from the real people, right? Like that's real. It's not easy because some of them are really good. Like they're really scamsters, right? So is there like a way to like because that if nothing else, Joe Kania is incredible at putting his finger on BS, like immediately. Like, nah, that's a bunch of crap. That's a bunch of crap. So how do you vet these people so easily and so quickly?
Number one, is it too good to be true?
When
When you've seen it happen a million times, you could say, all right, and we'll talk into another company that Phil worked with right when, we connected. But is this too good to be true? And do you have data to support that? Like anytime I get into an engagement, I'm extremely transparent about pricing because like with Phil, we built an app. I say, Phil, this is what the app costs. This is what I'm paying myself to manage these people. If you can't go back and look someone in the eye and say, you paid me this, I made you Y, you're in trouble. So one, it's how much are you charging and what are you charging for? Someone says, I'm charging you a ton of money to run ads. Say someone comes to you and they say, all right, I want to charge you $8,000 a month to run ads. And I need a $5,000 a month ad budget. That's $13,000. What's our net profit margin on the product we're selling? How many units are we going to sell?
Yeah, right.
Right. So
It,
Does it make sense?
yeah,
High level.
yeah. One of the things that I found was speaking about, hey, what's my ROI here? What can you do here? And unfortunately, many people will wind up BSing around that. And a lot of advertising firms, well, we can't guarantee, can't. Hey, listen, well, if you can't at least have some type of target ROI for me that, when am I going to make my money back? How am I going to make my money back? Where is this ad spend? What are the deliverables? Um, like these guys are big brand ventures. Okay. They pursued me for well over a year before I finally went with them. And, I had actually gone with them, and it was about probably halfway through when I found Joe, and I brought him in on my meetings with them because I wasn't impressed with what they were doing, and they were charging a premium price. But the thing is, I was at the point where, as you guys know, I have a ton of content. I got some I have some stuff that really helps people and helps people get stronger, helps them get fit, helps them move better, helps them feel better. And I have to get it out there. And I've done everything that I personally can do. And I have to go to the next level. So I'm like, well, I have everything in place right now. Let me find some marketing people. And these guys have been pursuing me. They said they did this, that, and the other thing. The Kevin Harrington, Shark, blah, 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 blah. I met with them a bunch of times. Uh, and then they finally suckered me in, wrote me in. And it's just that when they were picking me through, and the performance was anything less than acceptable. One of the things that I noticed, that they said that they knew my market. Okay, well, if you know my market, then why am I having to give you so much direction? A. And B, why are you trying different things? You should know what to do. I am paying you a premium price. You should know where to go, what to say, what to do. Here's what I have. Get it out there for me. That it should be honestly very simple if you've done this before. If somebody asks me and they say, "Oh, Phil, I want to learn how to do a Turkish getup." Oh, I'm an expert at. I will teach you to do that Turkish getup. If they say, "Gosh, I have to know how to throw, a combination," I will take you through it. I can do that. What is your goal? I will get you to your goal. I have a roadmap. I have a proven roadmap. I didn't see a proven roadmap, and they were touting it as they did have a proven roadmap, and it was disappointing at best. So, Joe, you want to speak to it a little bit when I brought you in there and I had you in the meetings, and then what transpired?
Well, first red flag. So I am now 4 clients deep on the Master Phil referral pipeline.
Mm.
I met Phil, and Phil introduced me to someone, and then I met someone working with that person who introduced me to someone, and then that person wants help building some stuff. 90% of the time. So red flag is high level of pursuit. In a lot of marketing, business in general needs a consistent, it has to be at least 60/40 one way between marketing and product. A lot of marketing firms are 90% marketing and 10% product because they're trying to build scale, but you lose context through layers of communication in scale.
Yeah.
So red flag one is I'm not going to actively pursue anyway. I've got a ton of stuff to do. Like I'm not actively hunting a million people down. So if you are looking for a marketing firm and they're actively pursuing you, that tells me that they're mostly a sales org. They have a really good sales funnel. If they have that good of a product, why do they need more? Right? Like something doesn't jive there. You're almost like a shell company where you're selling, selling, selling. And when you come at that high price point, I like low price points, transparency, honesty, and referrals. If you have a high price point, then you're going to make a lot of money and you're going to piss people off, and then clients are going to churn. You can make a business that way, but your lifetime value on a client, if you want to charge 15 grand a month, and 15 grand a month, you got to make your, unless you're a public company or something, you got to make your money back. So you close a $15,000 a month sale and you don't turn anything back, and they churn in 2 or 3 months. They tell everyone that you're terrible.
Yep. And that's what I'm doing. So,
In terms of tactical, I mean, I don't believe you need to be a subject matter expert to be a strong marketer. I've done everything. I work in the most random, like stuff I know nothing about. It's tactics. The client and the product, they're the subject matter expert, and they need to kind of guide me. But I can work across women's jewelry to wrestling shoes to fintech to technology because it's all generally the same. I don't want to ramble too far, but you either need growth, top of funnel. That's going to come from ads, or that's going to come from partner marketing, influencer marketing. You need optimization. You're established. Phil needs a little bit of both. He has a strong database and he needs some awareness. So you got to be able to look at a company and say, all right, well, does nobody know about you? Is the objective get the word out? Do you have some customers you need to re-engage and increase lifetime value? I mean, this particular company, at the sake of, not raking them through the coals too hard, uh, weren't really targeting, seemed very scattered.
yes.
We're
Shotgun
building
approach.
landing pages. It was taking, I mean, we built, Mike, how many pages are on that site? The Body Belt
Oh,
Method site.
yeah.
It was like 50 pages.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to take you an hour. It's going to take you 2 weeks to build a landing page, and conversion events aren't set up. And
Yeah.
no good. And that's what happened. They made a good amount of money. They do their Slick Willie, look at everything I've done. I'm so good. I'm like, I show up to calls like this. I'm like, this is who I am, man. I'm not wearing a suit and combing my hair, and
That's why they invented hats.
Yeah. No kidding.
Or
I'm wearing the
razors.
hat because I'm
Or
trying to
razors.
pretend like I'm not going bald.
Yeah, it's funny because you guys know that obviously I go high level, but I don't know if everybody knows that, but go high level to me is a very powerful app, and we have a lot of good features on that, and used properly, I think that it can help a great deal. And they weren't really leveraging anything there either, and they said that they knew how to do that, and just. When it came time for them to do it, I mean, I knew more about the app than they did, and I'm not hiring them to do that.
You know what's funny to me though, Phil? Here's what's interesting to me. I think what happens is a lot of these high ticket marketing firms have, like Joe said, have these salespeople that they have their talking points,
Mhm.
and then they sell this experience. They sell a body of experience that they've really never done, right?
Right.
They've never actually applied this stuff, and so you make the assumption based on the conversation that you have with the sales team that you're going to get X, Y, and Z, and then all of a sudden, when it comes time to do X, Y, and Z, the point of contact that you have, like the person that you're having the communication with,
Yeah.
they're like, that's not my job. My job was to get you in the door. My job, and
Right.
so what happens is there's like this breakdown, like Joe said, there's this convoluted breakdown of communication. It's like, hey, we talked about having this stuff done. it's now got to get done. Why can't I get it done?
Yeah.
Why can't I get this stuff done? And so I think the 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 red flag to me is, are you the guy that's going to be doing the work, or are you the guy that's selling me on the person that's going to be doing the work? Yes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's
Who's doing the work? What have
Right.
they done? You're selling me on. How can I honestly be like New York Giants, this, that, look at everything I did. Okay, now you're working with someone random, right? Like I'll bring Mike with me because Mike's my right hand anytime I need help with anything. But how can you honestly sit there and say, "Oh, look at all of my experience," and that's just a sales pitch? You're not
Yeah.
working with me. You're not
Right.
working with people that have worked with me. You're working with a college kid.
Right.
Yeah.
Or somebody overseas that's being farmed out. Right.
Yeah.
Yep. And something, I mean, when you're small and lean, one, you're profitable,
Yep.
but two, you can be fluid. So like it might be, I thought this was great. I said, Mike, we need to build a website. I don't know that Mike's ever built a website in his life. And I said, Mike, we need to build a website. We're using this tool. He turns around, maybe you could talk a little bit about Lovable and building these websites, because that's the value of being small and lean is, what do we need to work on? What's happening right now? How do we do it cheaply? How do we do it quickly?
Yeah. Well, what's interesting to me is like people's inability to, and maybe this is one of my strengths, is like I am very, very willing to jump out of the plane and build my wings on the way down. Like, like I've kind of lived my whole life like that.
Well, let me, Mike, let me jump in 1 second here. And
Yeah.
here's one of the reasons, and this is one of the reasons why I think we work well together. We all have a wrestling background.
Yeah, maybe that's where it starts, right?
I'm telling you, I will tell you this, that you guys probably wrestled longer than me. I got into the game when I got into high school, but I continued and never really looked back. But the fact of being a wrestler, to me, it gives you that mindset and gives you those tools to just, hey, I'm going for it. You get thrown on the mat with somebody that's really good. Hey, you know what? It's gonna be a long day unless you're
You
able
figure
to
it out.
you'll figure it out.
So those are the three words that probably present themselves in my house more than any other three words. Figure it out. Or, figure it out. My son will ask me a question about like results or something like that. And I'm like, you're gonna make me Google it while I'm driving right now, bud. Like you're sitting there with a Googleator in your hand. Like you're gonna make me Google it right now? So figure it out is the three words that come to fruition in my house more than any other. And how hard could this stuff be? Building a website on Lovable it might seem daunting at first. And yes, there is some back work that is involved with it. But like it's not rocket science, right? Like you don't have to have a coding degree anymore. You don't have to learn this skill set anymore. Like this stuff is pretty much like having a conversation, right? It's having a conversation with a robot. And so if you can have a conversation, you can build a website. If you can have a conversation, like, and I think the value in this stuff is becoming very transparent, right? Like, there are guys like one of my business partners, this guy named Joel Shaw. He's an incredible designer. Like he is incredible. But guess what? There's not many people out there that can do it better than a robot anymore, right? So like he understands, and he's an intelligent man, so he understands that like, okay, my design firm that I've had for X amount of years and have made millions of dollars, working, it's going to go away because AI is just more efficient and it brings it to the masses, right? Like a layman like me can make a website as fast as well as a lot of these design companies. And so I think just being able to, in 2026, dive headfirst into this stuff becomes the biggest challenge. Just do it. Just do it. Figure it out, right? And if you don't want to figure it out, me and Joe will figure it out.
Well, I think it goes back to wrestling again in, I don't want to speak for other people. I don't know how they operate, but I never run into, and Mike says figure it out. I don't run into roadblocks ever. I feel like a lot of people, they run into something, they don't know how to do it, or they don't, whatever. And it's kind of like, I don't know how to do that. I mean, over on Saturday, my wife is going to kill me. I spent all day doing this. Everyone was talking about these Claude bots,
Mhm.
right? So I went and I built one myself. I wanted to kind of automate cold outreach on Instagram. So what a Claude bot can do is it can basically take control. I'm an idiot. I failed math in high school. I went to college for 3 semesters. I'm not a smart guy. I went and I said, all right, let's configure this Claude bot so it opens up a browser, it opens up Instagram, it logs in, it finds these people, and it sends them a DM. Well, I had ChatGPT open in one window. I had Terminal on my computer opened in another window. I connected them and I was like, okay, do this. Does it work? Why doesn't it work? Do this. And ultimately it came full circle. And this is a good like AI tech anecdote. People are like, oh, Claude bot. Oh, it's Claude bot can do this. Yeah, I spent $100 on Claude bot credits to get it to send 7 DMs on Instagram. Like I visualize it, the technology will get there, and I'm trying to be on the forefront. But my bozo visualization of this is you're telling Claudebot to go open that door right there. I can go walk up and go boop and open the door. Claudebot stumbles and rolls around, and it's like trying to open the thing and fails, resets. Right now, the current infrastructure, these AI credits are so expensive that it makes no sense. It would be like $3 a DM. If you want cold outreach DMs, manual labor, cheap offshore labor to do a monotonous task is still more financially viable than using AI to do it. Not because it's hard, but because like the analogy I use, it stumbles and falls, and then it uses the back of its hand and it's wrong and the right of its hand. So, but if you don't have the, what's the word, the gusto to be like, oh, how does this work? I don't know how to do this. How can I? Mike and I are learning new stuff literally every day.
Every day.
The primary, the benefit that we bring is being able to identify this comes from massive amounts of failure.
Yes.
I've failed a bajillion times at everything, knowing what to do.
Yeah.
This is what we're trying to do. And now we can use tools and optimize on how we do it. But if you speak with anyone in the marketing space, I mean, I can get on a sales call with someone, they can tell me their problem, and I can diagnose and come up with a strategy on the call because I've seen it a million times. If you can't do that and you don't have a sound strategy and you haven't seen it work and fail, then all of your AI and all of your tools and all of your
Doesn't mean
junior
anything.
managers,
Yeah.
it means my last, and then I'll move forward. But when I was working in the NFL, we had this linebacker. His name was John Beeson. He's 33, 34 at this time. And I remember a reporter said, Beast, you're getting old, man. How are you still so fast? And I'll always remember he said, I'm not fast. He said, the play ends 3 yards from where it starts. He's like, I just know where I'm going. And I think about that in terms of business of like, or marketing. It's like, well, you don't need to be fast or brilliant. You need to have the experience to say, okay, this is the direction I need to run. If you know the right direction, we can get there fast. But if you don't know the right direction, you're running really fast, 5 miles in the wrong direction.
Right. Well, that's also brings you to an experienced fighter. You say, gosh, how can this older person, they still move so well? They're so much faster. They're faster than these younger opponents. Well, no, most likely they're not. They just have the experience, and they have a thing called economy of motion. So they're not wasting energy, not wasting motion. And that's what experience will give you in marketing as well. You have the economy of motion, economy of strategy, and it helps you get there a lot quicker because you've been there before. It's almost reflexive at a point.
Yeah, it's funny, man. Like we talk about it in my wrestling room a lot. I still train young athletes minimally, right? Like I don't train a ton of athletes, and they're amazed at how I can, at my ripe old age of 74, can get behind them so quickly and so efficiently. And I'm like, dude, speed is smoke and mirrors. It's smoke and mirrors. Like it's like I just know where you're going, right? You talk about football analogies. Well, Tom Brady goes to Gronk and he knows where he's going to be. He like so. And so the release is, yeah, that's great that he has a fast release, but the efficiency of motion becomes really, really valuable. And we see that in marketing, like, okay, well, what are we trying to accomplish? Okay, well, that's just like Gronk running the route, okay, and then Brady getting them to accomplish the task itself is just him throwing the ball, and that's us building the site or putting out the Facebook ads or whatever. And so I think the when you have that kind of figure it out mentality, well, you're going to figure it out in the most efficient way possible, right? Because your time is valuable. So you're going to, yeah, I'll figure out like the ugly way, the wrong way to do it first, probably. Like, but now it's like, okay, I figured out how to do it. Now, how do we hone in on like what's the most efficient way?
Comes back to wrestling too.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, everything, it's been so long. I still use wrestling analogies for everything. Okay, I'm trying. Mike and I talk about it in my old man wrestling career. Like, yeah, you want to take someone down? All right, now I need cheap takedowns. I need easy takedowns. I'm not going under and through people. I'm going to burn myself out. So I know what to do. I know I want that leg, but it's okay. How can we be efficient?
Mm-hmm.
And another thing I think, I don't know how long we'll run, but not a lot of people are honest and not a lot of people want to come back to wrestling again, be accountable, right? Like who wants to run an ad? I had to tell someone the other day that their ads were just like bleeding massively. It was terrible. But I had to go in there and be like, this is what it cost. I'm going to be honest. This is what it costs. I'm going to get it as low as we can. And if this can't be optimized, we did it with the bar that we were selling. We do it across everything. It's if you can't be honest with how it's working, people like that. You're like, this is bad. This is what we're doing to try to get it to good. If it doesn't get good, we need another plan to get this out here. Where people start to not trust you is when they start to like fugazi you. They go, oh no, we need to. I've seen companies that are running bad ads, and if I'm not running them myself, the ad buyer will be like, oh, you need to spend more money, or you need to do this or that. And I'm like, be honest, man.
Yeah. Let me ask you, many of these sales agencies, using the quotes, they oh yeah, we'll sell this for you, sell your product, so forth, so on, but they're not willing to go on a percentage deal. Now, look, mine's a percentage.
Sure.
Why, if you're that confident in your product, well, why aren't you operating on a percentage? Well, how does an owner of a company or business, position themselves to be able to get someone who is confident enough in their abilities to go on a percentage basis?
How about this? A lot of companies, I work flat rates all the time.
Yep.
A lot of companies and like ad management companies charge you based on your ad spend. So now they're completely misincentivized with you. They'll say 10 or 15% of ad spend. The ads aren't working, spend more money.
Right.
Like, give me a break, spend more money.
Uh,
So, like, if I get somewhere and it's an awesome product and it's selling like wildfire, yeah, give me a percentage all day. If we can't get the ads to a positive ROAS,
mhm.
and I say, maybe we haven't found the sweet spot, maybe it's not a product market fit. There
Mhm.
needs to be minimums because it takes time to
Yeah.
establish.
Mhm.
But like I tell people all the time, I'm like, give me a cut me in on the business. Like if all we're doing is running Facebook ads.
Yeah.
So never ever anyone who's charging a percentage of ad spend,
Mhm.
they're misaligned with your primary goal. If they want a percentage of revenue
Right.
on sales, a percentage of gross profit, now they're incentivized the right way.
Right.
They want a
Right.
percentage of ad spend, they're
Yeah.
misaligned because they're just going to try to bait you into spending more money with no
Oh yeah.
return,
Yeah.
and they get paid anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you think of publicists? Because I'll tell you, I haven't been impressed thus far, and I've actually gotten way more traction on my own than any publicist has ever done. And they say like here, this again, this last one I just had, Adrienne Greenwood, she, would write these articles, whatever, they're chat GPT or AI, pretty much written by me. I'd give the information and they'd wordsmith it and, put it into AI. But I wasn't really seeing the because I'm tagged, so anything that comes up on Google about me, I see it, and I wasn't really seeing this coming forward. These articles, they were publishing the articles, but they weren't getting out there like they should have.
Yeah, I think publicists are a dying breed, man. I'm back in the 70s, 80s, and even into the early 90s when there was these gatekeepers of information. I think they probably made more sense, right? Because you had to have an in with, let's just say Rolling Stone magazine, right?
Right.
Like, like if you were a band coming up, you got into Rolling Stone magazine, you were the buzz there for a minute, right?
Mhm.
Well, that's not how people consume anything
No.
anymore. It's just not. So the gatekeepers of information are gone. And so anyone that's telling you that they can get your information, whatever it is that you're selling out there, I mean, I don't see it as a viable way to do things anymore.
Yeah.
Joe, how many publicists have we worked with?
None,
That's what I'm
zero.
saying.
So sometimes the only value in traditional press is syndication. Syndication being I want to get on NJ.com
Mhm.
because NJ.com has 2 million people that visit the site every week. And being on NJ.com, we get that foot traffic. Anytime I've ever done PR in the past 5 years, we just hit something on the press wire and
Yeah.
everyone's using AI for everything, Associated Press, whoever, pick up press wire, you get 200 mentions, fine. But I mean, I think there's still value in it sometimes, but it's got to be personal relationships. Like if someone hits me up and they say I want something at NJ.com, I go and I contact someone I used to work with at NJ.com and say, hey, would you be willing to write an article about,
Yeah.
Sure.
right? If you don't have a Rolodex of people you're confident, there's some,
Mhm.
if you get on NJ.com, there's some syndication, there's some value there. I wouldn't put it against it, but they need to be very, very niche.
Mhm.
You talk with anyone in PR, they got to say, all right, my buddy Steve works at Men's Fitness magazine. They get 5 million people visit their site every month. We're going to do a Q&A with you. Okay, that's good. If you're a generalist, I always try to think too, how would I do this if I was a scumbag? Like if I was trying to
Yeah.
if I was trying to rip someone off,
Mhm.
if I was in PR and I was trying to rip someone off, I would charge you $2,000 a month. I would take your article, I would run it on a press wire, cost me $200. I would come back to you and say, look, I got you 175 mentions. Wouldn't do anything for you, but that if you can't see the other side, how people, I'm so good at sniffing out people trying to scam people because that's how I think, right? I'm like, okay, if you want if you want me to run ads for you and I take your information and dump it to someone overseas, I've seen how that doesn't work and how people get angry. So I'm PR and I want to cut corners. You send me a press release, I run it through ChatGPT, I hit it on the press wire. Look, I got you 200 mentions. You're going to be happy the first time. You'll be lukewarm the second time. After 2 months, you're going to be like, great, you're getting me these bot placements. It's not driving the business. There's no money.
So, so if you're good, we'll just take someone like me, for example. Right? And you have your programs, and you guys know what I'm doing pretty well. And you see that when people work with me, when I'm up on a stage, when I'm in front of a group of people, when I'm leading some training, more people, they just come in. When I make that contact with them, they love my seminars, my workshops, and so forth. So you guys see that. And then how do we replicate that in a virtual world to get more eyes on it? If people are out there doing this, so what would be the plans that you guys have for someone like me, or let's say you have a product or any other type of service where the person has something that's viable, but it's difficult to get it out, and they want to go to these publicists, they want to go to these internet marketers and so forth. And what do they have to look out for if we're going to sum that up? And what should they be striving for? So what to watch out for and what to embrace.
First thing, and we could do strategy session here in real time because if we want more in-person people at seminars, you got to look at the funnel. Most valuable type of marketing in general is word of mouth marketing.
Yep.
Word of mouth marketing can be emphasized with digital tactics. If we have seminars, Phil, my mom won't stop calling me about Master Phil ideas. I need to connect you guys through text.
Okay.
She's like, I got a guy, he's got a gym in Westfield, and everyone wants to work with him. That's word of mouth, though. I talk with her,
Yep.
So we say, someone comes to a seminar, they love it, it's sick, everyone's seen them, they're awesome. Maybe it becomes, this is just one thing, bring someone with you next time and it's free for them. Or something like that. Bring someone, you can activate them through digital. You have their email. Email could be right there. This is the middle of the funnel. You already came. I have your contact information. Top of funnel is new demand gen. They've never heard of me. They come to a seminar. They had a great time. We have another one coming up. How can we incentivize you to tell someone about it and bring someone? And then how can we track downstream, did those free people who came actually convert? So now there's some like complicated technology in this of how many people came, where did they come, did they bring someone, who did they bring, what's their email, did they come again, did they pay? That's still word of mouth marketing, but that's digital on top of tracking, understanding ROI,
Mhm.
activation.
Sure. And I think one of the things that you're really good at, Phil, is that connection in person. And we've talked about it in the past, like spending 5 minutes engaging with 10, 15, 20 minutes at the most,
Mhm.
engaging with your audience, I think is going to pay off in dividends, right? Like putting together a live where you can take in information
Yeah.
or questions from the crowd and then spit out whatever it is you're spitting out. I think that's where, because again, people have a great experience when they're in front of you.
Mhm.
And if that's what is the driver here of
Mhm.
the word of mouth marketing,
Mhm.
then we need to kind of lean into that, And so I guess the answer is find what people engage with the most and then just lean into that.
Yeah. The thing is, when we're, I've done some lives before. Um, got some good interaction, but the thing is, that you have to be a little more consistent with it, and it's sometimes it's a little difficult to. I guess you have to have a specific time and day that you're
Hmm.
doing it,
Hmm.
and just do
Yeah.
it, like,
Yeah.
that particular. Well, and how do we get it across multiple mediums at the same time? That's the thing, because hey, do I do it on Facebook? Do I do it on Instagram? Do I do it on LinkedIn? Do I where do I do it? Do I do it on YouTube? I
Mhm.
mean, the thing, one of the things I like about YouTube is that it's um, it's more evergreen,
Mhm.
whereas some of the other social media platforms are a little more transient.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
What do you guys?
mean, who are we communicating to?
Mhm.
How do we get them in?
Yeah.
So we say, okay, what am I promoting? We'll rip
Mhm.
down the layers. I've got a seminar coming up in Paramus. All right, well, I'm going to do a live. I'm going to promote that. All right, let's go into my database. This is the middle of the funnel. Again, top of the funnel is totally different. They have no idea who you are. You need to nurture them.
Mhm.
People to go for an in-person to go from the top of the funnel all the way to the bottom to convert,
Right.
difficult.
Yeah.
If I go and we want to do a live, we're promoting something that we're doing in Paramus, where we do it, I mean, there's some timeliness. It's not an evergreen product. You could point them to YouTube, but the activation then becomes SMS 3 minutes before you go live, targeting people who have area codes above the shore.
Right.
So then they get that message. If they don't click it on time, they can watch the replay on
Right.
YouTube.
Mhm.
If we're selling a bar or something that's not relevant, blast the whole database.
Right.
Do it wherever. But SMS is good for instant response.
Mhm.
Email is good for whatever, respond whenever. But if you're like, hey, this is happening right now, SMS,
Yeah.
watch me wherever.
Okay. Mhm. All right. Cool. All right. Yeah. So that's definitely a feature we're gonna have to start implementing. Um, get back to that. We can definitely discuss that. Uh, so any parting words for the audience uh, about deciphering the scams from the real bona fide marketers?
You
Joe, you
ask
want to take
someone,
this?
say, if you're going to hire someone and they give you a crazy price, probably run anyway. Say, hey, what's the minimum? How can the term I like to use is tip of the spear?
Yeah.
How can we focus on the tip of the spear right now? And then if it's successful, we'll grow. If someone is willing to do that, they're confident in themselves. If they say, no, I need an insane amount of money right away, Like,
Right.
focus on the most important thing. If it's successful, it'll expand infinitely. If it's not successful, I need to protect myself. It's got to be worth your time. And if people are too good of salesmen, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Like if they're giving you that Wall Street script where it's like make you say something, it's like, nah, man. If you get on a call and you're like, okay, this is fine. If you like me, we'll work. If you feel pressured or it's a lot of money and you're not sure, I get it myself. I had a sales team. I was telling Mike, I had a sales team that I paid $5,000 a month, and they did nothing. I was at 25 grand. I ran it for 5 months.
Yeah.
Locked me into a contract. I had to kick and scream. So, hey, if you're willing to work for, let's start off slow. Let's see how it's working. It'd be all right. But if the other end seems desperate, red flag.
Yeah. Yeah. Mike, you have anything to add to that, or?
I think the most important thing is being able to have open lines of communication at all times. Right.
Yes. 100%.
When you don't, boy, oh boy, things can break down in a hurry. That's for sure.
Yeah.
You know.
I would have to concur 100%.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, hey, it's a great session, guys, and I want to thank you guys for coming on and imparting your marketing wisdom. Hopefully, people can garner something from this and help them save some money and help them promote properly. Other than that, we're signing off, and again, thank you. Strength and honor.
Sir.